Boy, that zombie problem is just getting worse and worse. Well, today's story. Story? Dory? I found Dory. I found a story? I don't know. Anyway, some interesting things happening that I was unaware of until just like yesterday. So, if you haven't heard, there's a organization called Collective Shout, and they're basically out there trying to remove anything that they think is morally questionable. Uh, Things like the Steam adult games, things along that nature. And they use banking to do it. It's a very effective strategy, honestly. You convince these large corporations who are risk averse. All they have to do to stay functioning is avoid risk, and they're going to probably stay big, large, financially stable organizations. So that's why these things work. These guys are just going to be like, well, we don't want to take the risk. If this is enough, even if there's a slight chance this could happen, we're not going to bother. Trust me, if you ever go to a bank and try to get a loan, they're not really all about taking risks. Anyway, so Trump actually sided with gamers, really. This executive order it's called Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans. I love how they have the 45, 47 symbol up here. That's kind of cool. So we're going to skim through this a little bit here. Financial institutions have engaged in unacceptable practices to restrict law-abiding individuals and businesses' access to financial services on the basis of political or religious beliefs or lawful business activities. Some financial institutions participated in government-directed surveillance programs targeting persons participating in activities and causes commonly associated with conservatism and the political right following the events that occurred at or near the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Yeah. The federal government suggested that such institutions flag individuals who made transactions related to companies like Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, or who made peer-to-peer payments that involved terms like Trump, MAGA, even though there was no specific evidence tying those individuals to criminal conduct. Yeah, this was a real thing. And I guarantee you guys, the government's already doing this. Now, they're probably doing it not telling Trump, but I guarantee you they flag everything. It would not surprise me. You see, you watch movies. They put a guy in the bank who is a CIA agent. Well, okay, not CIA, NSA. I don't think CIA is technically allowed to operate on American soil without like a declaration of like some type of insurgency. So, NSA, perhaps. They put you in and you're a sleeper agent and you work at the bank. That is literally the plot of, what's that movie with Chris Pine where he did I can't remember, gosh. But yeah, that's literally what they do. They put you in and you stay there and you wait and you feed information to the government. Are you breaking the law? I don't know. Is it wrong? Yeah, totally wrong. So don't be surprised if this ever gets out and you find out they've been watching everything we do. I guarantee you it's going to be easier now because AI will just look at everything and flag everything automatically. Gone are the days where you had to have a physical person scroll through the printout of everybody's transactions and mark the ones that were bad. Assuming that any of these are bad and none of these are wrong here. So, let's see. Let's keep going and go down to the policy. Okay. It is the policy of the United States that no American should be denied access to financial services because of their constitutionality or statutory protected beliefs, affiliations, or political views, and to ensure that politicized or unlawful banking is not used as a tool to inhibit such beliefs, affiliations, or political views. Banking decisions must instead be made on the basis of individualized, objective, and risk-based analysis. Now, that's actually important. Individualized is a very interesting word. You can't just lump someone in because of a group they're a part of. Republican, Democrat, a race, technically, would be in there. This actually would be a very effective... If you're on the left and you see this and you want to take down a bank for doing something that is, maybe racist or sexist in some way, you might be able to use that against them. Because now they have to... This is basically saying you have to look at the person. Can they pay back this loan? Are they going to, check kite, write bad checks? Are they gonna, overdraft their account and leave us with the bill? You ask that based on the individual, not, well, they're Republicans, so they're probably not going to pay this bill, but they're going to pay this one, or they're black and they're going to do this, and you can't do any of that. Now, granted, these are already sort of protected by law that's existing, but this streamlines the thing here. So they have definitions. We're going to skip all that. Here we go. Here's the actual order. Removing reputational risk and politicized or unlawful debanking. Within 180 days of the date of this order, each appropriate federal banking regulator shall, to the greatest extent permitted by law, remove the use of reputation risk or equivalent concepts that could result in politicized or unlawful debanking, as well as any other considerations that could be used to engage in such debanking from their guidance documents, manuals, and other materials, other than existing regulations that other materials requiring notice and comment of rulemaking, used to regulate or examine financial institutions over which they have jurisdiction. The removal of such concepts shall be made clear by each appropriate federal banking regulator through the formal guidance to their examiners. Federal banking regulators shall consider rescinding or amending existing regulations consistent with applicable law to eliminate or amend any regulations that could result in politicized or unlawful debanking, and to ensure that any regulated firm's or individual's reputation is considered for regulatory, supervisory, banking, or enforcement purposes solely to the extent necessary to reach a reasonable and apolitical risk-based assessment. This happened in Canada. A few years ago, the truckers protested in Canada. They were protesting, I don't even know what it was, but they were generally viewed as right-wing. And basically they parked their trucks and weren't moving. Well, the government didn't like that. So they forced banks to remove their debit card access. Can't buy gas anymore, can you? You know, it's awfully cold in Canada. Can't buy food. Can't get water. You know, in America, if you're Canadian, you're watching this, in America, we like to look up at Canada and go, well, they're just the nice guys to the north, you know? Hey, how you doing? Let's get a beer. Yeah, that might have been a more Jersey accent. I can't do it. Apparently, you guys aren't. You guys can be just as much a jerk as anybody else. And your prime minister proved it. It was under Trudeau that happened. And this law, or this is not actually a law, this is an executive order by Trump, basically enforcing laws that already exist, but kind of forcing the hand to happen a little quicker. Because you could, in theory, sue the bank if you were removed for a political reason, and get your way through, but you'd have to go through court, and it's going to be a big battle because you're a small fish usually, and they're a bank. They literally are made of money. So winning such an argument is difficult when you can't afford the kind of lawyer they do. But sometimes when you're right, you're right. But this is hopefully going to prevent what happened in Canada happening in the United States. And I know you're on the left and you think, well, this is just about, protecting Republicans. No, this should protect you. If you're a leftist, you should be applauding this. This is ironically a very liberal leftist kind of order. It is not siding with large institutions, banks, and moneymakers. It's siding with the individual, literally in the order. Siding with the individual. That is pretty amazing. Let's keep going just a little bit more here. There's a lot of these orders, but that's basically the gist of it. But let's see if there's anything interesting else here. The SBA shall, within 60 days of the date of the order, give notice to all financial institutions to which it guarantees loans under its lending program, requiring each financial institution subject to district prohibition. 100 days after the order, make reasonable efforts to identify and reinstate previous clients of the institution or any subsidiaries who denied service to a politicized or unlawful debanking action in violation of a statutory or regulatory requirement under Section 7A of the SBA Act, or any requirement in a standard operating procedures manual or policy notice to the function of the Office of Capital Access, with notice of the reinstatement sent to the victim. Okay, this is funny. Basically, you have 120 days to admit that you cut someone loose unlawfully and put them back, and bring them back in and say, your account's reinstated. I want to see these happen. And I want to know who has it. If this happened to you and then you get it back, if you're somehow watching this, that'd be awesome. Just let me know. I want to know. I want to talk to you because I want to hear your story. Especially if it ends in this, where basically the bank has to walk back to you and go, we didn't mean to. We're sorry. Here's your money back. Oh, that'd be good. Section 5. scrutinizing politicized or unlawful debanking. Within 180 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of the Treasury, in consultation with the Assistant to the President for Economic Policy, shall develop a comprehensive strategy for further measures to combat politicized or unlawful debanking activities of financial regulators and financial institutions across the federal government, including consideration of legislative or regulatory options to eliminate such debanking. Basically, a repeat of what we already basically said here. It's just ordering now the Treasury to do that same exact thing. You have to figure out a way to prevent this from happening again and to stop current unlawful debanking. There's going to be a review. Nothing new. They're going to have to figure it out. I like that the cost of the publication for this order should be borne by the Small Business Association. That's definitely Donald Trump kind of just pushing at the SBA a little bit. If you ever dealt with the SBA, it's difficult. They are not there to really help you if you need help. They're there. How's the best way to put this? They're there to give you money if you don't need money. If that makes any sense. People think that you can walk up to the SBA, and it's weird because this is not how it's designed to work, but this is how it ends up working. At least in my experience. Hey, I could be wrong. I'm just a guy on the internet. But in my experience, from what I gather from people that I've dealt with the SBA and my friends that have dealt with the SBA, it's not a, oh, I'm a guy with an idea for a business and this is my business plan and, I have no money. I don't own my home. I have no assets. Please give me a loan to start a business. My idea is really good. It's going to work. But I don't have the capital to actually buy the equipment I need. Good luck getting the SBA to give you a loan for that. Good luck getting the bank to give you a loan for that. You might have a little better luck at the bank. They're a little more profit-oriented. If you have really good credit score, you just don't happen to own anything, they might give you something. Probably not a lot. And every experience that I've dealt with, they want your house. They want the backing of the loan to be, if you don't pay this back, we're taking your house. So that'd be an interesting setup. I wonder how bankruptcy law would affect that kind of contract. That's a question for an accountant, I guess, or a bankruptcy lawyer. If you're a bankruptcy lawyer, I have some questions for you. Not related to me, just curious about that. Anyway, so it seems that this executive order will help alleviate some of Collective Shout's power and limit their ability to force banking institutions to push Steam around or push, any other type of organization around for making content that they don't find morally correct. I'm not saying that Steam, some of those games on Steam that they removed are good games or morally good games that you should be playing. But I think people should be free to make the choice for themselves. And if they're legal games, then you should be able to go, well, I like that game or I don't like that game. That should be your right as an American to go, this is what I think I should do. And, you accept the consequences. God will judge you on whether or not you made the right choice. But anyway, that's all I got for today. Let me know what you think. Have you heard anything about Collective Shout? I was unaware of it until like a week ago, and I was like, what in the world's going on? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and have a blessed day.